What's up, everyone? I am back at Thunder Valley for the WSOP. It's going to be a 10 days or 12 days or something.
We're even going to be hanging out here with him.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a fun time. It's been wet, raining, and flooding here in Northern California over the past couple of weeks, but inside the poker room of Thunder Valley, it is warm, dry, and packed as hundreds of players from around the region join for the World Series of Poker circuit. Let's recap my week. We start with the $400 250K guarantee opener, which I bricked 2 bullets. The first bullet I flopped set versus set. I didn't even last a full orbit. Alright, I didn't last a full orbit. I took a gamble on bullet number 2, getting it in on the flop with ace high and a gutter straight draw, but I ran into a set and I did not improve. I kind of punted on that last hand, but I had a reason for the play, and the reason was that the player that made a bet on the flop bets too big and then he folds a lot. In this hand, actually, he calls my 11,000, has 9,000 left behind, and then folds to the other players all in. So it would have worked if the third player didn't have a set. We move on to event number 3. It's a $600 buy-in, 50K guaranteed prize pool. So far, all of the guarantees have been at least doubled, so this was 100K. On bullet number 1, I get it in good in a flip situation. Short stack pocket fours versus ace king, but I can't fade the river. I get Barry Greenstein with the ace on the river. I'm on the break right now with the 650K guarantee. It's over 100K in the prize pool. Bullet number 2 was a lot better, but I couldn't really run my short stack up once we got into the money. It ends in 23rd place. I feel like I'm cursed here. Like the last 4 or 5 cashes I've had here have all been 22nd and 23rd place or something. In the monster stack, $400 buy-in, 100K guarantee, which was over 200K. I ended up breaking 3 bullets as I just couldn't build up a stack at all. Here I am in the small blind with less than 10 big blinds. The buy-in jams less than 10 bigs. I snap call and I flop an 8, but he turns the straight. I do not improve to the flush on the river, so that leaves me with exactly 1 chip left.
Oh. Yeah, you haven't took 5,000. We did it, Kyle. Screw you, Travis.
And just 3 hands later, I wake up with ace king. Obviously, I'm going to go all in for my 1 chip and a chair. I have 5 other opponents in the hand. I flop a king, it looks good, but someone actually has king 10 and made a full house. No chip in a chair story today. And that all brings us to today. Coming into this event, I am currently down about 2,200 for the series, but the big events are coming up. Alright, today is a big day. We got the 3,200 high roller and also the 600 six max, and I want to play both, but we're gonna see how it goes. There's a chance I might have to play both at the same time and just run back and forth between tables, but I'm gonna start with the 600 first and see how that goes. Fire 1 bullet max into that one. Alright, it's time to play the high roller. It's a $3,250 buy-in. There are currently 23 players left. It's 8 max, and the 1 seat that's open is a seat that I don't want to be seated in, so I'm gonna wait a couple. I'm gonna wait and see if someone else takes the seat, basically. Alright, this is what $3,250 gets you, a piece of paper. Alright, my first table on this high roller had some notable players, the most notables being Eric Lindgren and JC Tran. Here we are in a hand with ace queen offsuit. I 3-bet to 3.3K with ace queen from the cutoff. Action goes to the small blind. Noel Rodriguez is a solid player. He 4-bets to 9K. I'm just going to let this go and move on to the next hand. We're on the first break. I have 32K from a starting stack of 40K. Turns out that I didn't actually need to wait to get seated because they did a pretty good job of shuffling the new entries and redrawing tables. So That wasn't an issue. That's good. Here I am opening with ace-10 offsuit in the low jack 2x. And the hijack and the big blind are both going to call, so we have 3 players going to a flop, which comes out king, 10, 5. I check here because I don't want to blow up the pot out of position. I also don't want to get raised off my hand, so I think check calling is a better play here. The hijack bets 1,000, big blind folds, and I make the call. And we see a turn, it's a 5. There's now a pair on the board. I check again, and the hijack bets 2,000 this time. I make the call again. It's a deuce on the river. We both check, and he turns over the best hand, king 9. It's been a slow start, starting with 40k. I'm down to 26k, but there's hope because I look down at pocket jacks here in the small blind. Action folds to me. I'm going to raise it up to 1500 at 500 big blind. It's standard here when it's blind versus blind. You're going to want to raise it usually 3 to 4x instead of the usual 2 or 2.5x. The big blind defends, and I flop middle set here into a 3.5k pot. I'm going to put in a continuation of 1.5k. He's going to make the call. We go to the turn. It's a 4 of hearts, so this is where I want to charge the draws and also target the ace and get value. So I size up to about 2/3 pot size bet of 4k, and he makes a call again. It's a safe river card, king of hearts. The flush does not get there. I want to target that ace and get as much value as I can. So with the stack sizes here, I have 19k, the pot is 14.5k. If I bet like half my stack, that looks kind of strong. So I decide that the better play here is to overbet, jam all in. Again, I'm targeting that ace and also some 2-pair hands. The flush doesn't get there, so my bet also looks somewhat polarized, and that's what I go for. After thinking about it for a while, he taps the table and says, nice hand, and he lays it down. It is a little bit harder to get paid off here in these bigger buy-in events. The big blind is now up to 600, and the +1 player is going to raise to 2.5x. The small blind calls, and I look down at king 6 of hearts here. It's an easy defend. I'm getting great odds to see a flop, which I do, and we flop a flush draw. Under the gun +1 makes a c bet of 1.5k into about 5k, and both blinds are going to make the call here. So it's a 9.6k pot here. The action is going to check around on the 5 of clubs on the turn, so we're going to see a free river for a flush draw. It's not the card that we were looking for, but it is a deuce that pairs the board, and we have more deuces in our range than the +1 player. Plus, he capped himself by checking back on a pretty dry board on the turn. So I decide that I'm going to take a stab here. The only player that I think I have to worry about is maybe the small blind, having a hand like ace deuce or something like that, but I go for it, 4.5k. The small blind eventually makes the call with pocket jacks, so he wins the pot here, and I just don't think there's any way I could put him on that strong of a hand the way that this hand was played. Shortly after I get a small double up with pocket kings, I'm dealt pocket aces in the hijack. JC Tran is under the gun with 800, which is only 1 big blind, so he's going all in, probably in the dark. I'm going to raise to 3k, and the button surprisingly re-raises to 8k. Now, I'm thinking here that he could be raising light just to ISO and get heads up versus the all-in player. So I'm not sure if I want to put my remaining 23k in yet or if I want to flat. He eventually convinces me by making some comments that he is strong enough to make a call. So I put it all in. He snap calls. He has pocket kings. JC Tran turns over queen 4 suited.
Jason's got queen 4. Thanks.
Going for queen 4, honestly. King.
Got a straight draw.
Shit. Oh,
He's got a stage draw too.
JC, go JC. Oh my god. Oh, that 5 score was so nice, man.
Yeah.
I got such good lucky.
For the first time in this tournament, I now have more than starting stack. I have 55k in this hand. With pocket sixes in the cutoff, I'm going to open it up to 1.8k. We're still at 800 big blind. The small blind calls 1.8k. Action goes to the big blind, Noel. 3 bets to 7.4k. I want to see a flop in position, so I call, and the small blind overcalls. So we see the flop, and it's a pretty decent one. I have a straight draw with my second pair. The small blind rips it for 19K. The big blind folds. I make the call with pocket sixes, and I'm up against 10-6 offsuit in great shape, about 85% favorite to win or chop. I just have to fade a 10 to win another big pot.
So I gotta avoid a 10. Sick. That's so gross.
So gross.
What a stupid game this is.
Holy crap, that was a stupid hand. I don't even understand the logic behind the 10-6 offsuit in a 3200. I guess some people just have unlimited money. It's been really up and down so far in this event. I dropped all the way down to 15K when I got the pocket kings hand. And then I finally got above starting stack up to about 55 or 56K. And then that stupid hand happened. And now I'm back at 26K. Still got 6 levels to play tonight.
Well, as it turns out, I don't have to play the remaining 6 levels of the day because shortly after making that update, I have king queen offsuit with 11 big blinds under the gun. I go all in and we get a call from pocket queens. The board runs out without any king, and that will send me home from this high roller experience. $3,250 gone, but we still have the main event. Don't forget to hit subscribe to see if I get even for the series in the main event next week.
That sucks. I think I played pretty well, just really couldn't get anything going, and that 10-6 hand really crushed me and I couldn't recover. Kind of went card dead towards the end too, but it is what it is. So up next is the main event.